Okay, this is for the homework on the 13th of August, Thursday the 13th of August. We're finding the distance between points. So we have to use the distance formula, and the distance formula tells us this, that we have to know we have to take 2 points and subtract them. Subtract the y values, subtract the x values, square it, add it together, and then take the square root. So there are 5 steps, right? Subtract the x's, subtract the y's. Square that number, add those 2 numbers together, and then take the square root. That gives me the distance between the points. Between, yeah, let's spell it right. Let's just write the right word there. Distance between. There we go. So that's what we're looking for. So let's start with this one. Say I'm given a point 5, 7 and another point 13, 3. Okay. Now then, what I need to do is find the distance between those 2 points. So I have to take the x numbers, and you know that these are the x numbers. These first 2 right here, those are the x numbers. So I need to take those x numbers, and I need to subtract those, and then I need to take the y numbers and subtract those, and then we'll square them and all that good stuff, right? Okay, so these are the y numbers as well. Let's write that down. There we go. Boom. Here we go. So it doesn't really matter where you start, but if I start with this one, I have to start. So here we go. I'm going to start with 13. 13 minus 5 squared plus, and now if I started with 13, I need to start with a 3. 3 minus 7 squared. Just remember that, and we'll be good. All right. So first thing I do is subtract. That's 8. Then I square that number. That's 64. The next thing I do is subtract. That's -4. I square that number. Now here's where people make mistakes. Some people think -4 squared is -16, but negative times negative is positive. So that's 16. I need to add those together, and 80 is my answer. So remember that we had to simplify the square roots. So whenever we simplify, we have to divide by the perfect square roots. So the options are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, all the perfect square roots. Okay. So you try and see which one divides in there. Does 36 divide into 80? No. 25? No. 16? Yes. 16 divides into 80. So this is the same thing as 16 times 5. Because 16 times radical 16 times radical 5 is going to be the square root of 80. Now then, I have to simplify the square roots. That's what we're doing here. Let me write that down. Simplify. So I need to simplify the square roots. Now that means I know the square root. I don't know the square root of 80. It's some decimal number. Don't know the square root of 5, but I do know the square root of 16. So 4 radical 5 would be the answer that we're looking for. This thing right here is the distance between those 2 points. Did I run off the screen? Well, heck. So that's 4. Let's write it up here. 4 radical 5. The square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 5 we don't know. So this is the distance that we travel. Okay? Let's try another one. Just to say we can. This one will have negative numbers so that we'll see what we're supposed to do with negatives. 211 and 4, negative 3. Once again, we start off. Doesn't matter which one we start with, so I'm going to start with 2 this time. 2 minus 4, just to show you, doesn't make any difference. If you start with a 2, you need to start with 11, so 11 minus negative 3. Now then, see what I did here? Minus. See, subtraction is in the formula, so you have to have a subtraction in there. And the reason it's minus minus is because this number was negative to begin with. So you're subtracting because it's in the formula, and then you've got a minus 3 because there's a negative 3 up here. So minus minus, we know, really means plus. So we're going to make that say add. There we go. Now then, 2 minus 4, negative 2 squared. 11 plus 3, 14 squared. And then remember, negative times negative is positive. So this is really 4 plus 196, and we're taking the square root. So that's the square root of 200. Now remember that we have to simplify. So the whole idea, we're going to be simplifying, which means we have to divide by perfect squares. So we had a list over here, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, but it keeps going. 49, you know, we could do divide by 49, we could divide by 64, or 81, or 100, or 121, or 144. See, these are all perfect squares. We know this square root, this becomes 7, that becomes 9. So look, 200 is divisible by 100, so that's the one we want to choose. 200 is not divisible by any of these other numbers. So 200 is divisible by 100. 100 times 2. Since I know the square root of 100 is 10, then my answer, when I'm done, after I simplified, my answer to what is the distance, it's going to be 10 radical 2. And that's the answer that we're looking for. Okay, so now you can do the homework for the 13th of August. That's all.